conclusion for each given statement, then give a reason to support your conclusion. An if then statement or official property name. Okay, so they're giving that, and I'm just going to use, I'm going to draw it in here. It's always good to draw it in. CAB, so you know how to identify that. CAB, it's that angle, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Is equal or congruent to DAB. So that, okay. And the conclusion, what would you think would be a natural conclusion for those two given statements?
Um, I don't know. CA. Actually, I don't know.
Well, if those two things are equal, what does that mean about one of these rays? Does that mean anything? Does it mean something about either this line here, AC, or maybe mean something about AB or maybe AD? Because see, we don't have any triangles here, right?
Yes, sir.
So it wouldn't have anything to do with the triangle. I mean, we do have side lengths, but just the fact that these angles are equal, would that mean anything about the lengths of the sides?
No, sir.
No, it wouldn't. So what does it mean? I think you're maybe just overthinking it. I think all they want you to say is that AB is a what?
Um, a straight line.
No, not a straight line. AB,
Is it bisector?
yeah, it bisects angle CAD.
Oh, okay.
That's all they wanted you to say.
Uh,
Make sense?
yes, sir.
Now, what would the reason be for that?
Because uh,
Do you have your list of reasons?
they're in my notebook, which is in my backpack. No, it's in my
Oh,
locker at school.
oh, that's a bummer. Do you have them memorized? Do you need to have them memorized?
I mean, uh, I think I need to remember some, so I'm probably gonna do that.
Yeah, you probably have to have those memorized.
Yes,
So
sir.
you probably have does your teacher have notes or anything for you to use or like online that you can look at?
Yes, sir. She posts them every day, so I can look at them in my Google Classroom.
Yeah, I would look at that and find the one, but it's probably something like angles or bisector implies congruent angles implies bisector or something like that.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? There's probably some little wording that you use for it, but basically the reason is because congruent angles implies angle bisector or something like that. I
Yeah.
don't know how your teacher wants you to write that, but that's what you'd have to write for the reason. Okay, so number five, you want to do number five?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what does it mean for PR to be perpendicular to RS?
They're complementary.
No, what does perpendicular mean?
They're they intersect. I don't know.
No, look at that sign. What is that? What it kind of the sign kind of gives it away. What can you tell about that symbol?
Uh,
What kind of angle is this right here?
so 90-degree angle.
Yeah, it's a right angle.
Oh,
That's what perpendicular means.
yes, sir.
So the conclusion would be that angle PRS is a right angle.
Oh, okay.
That would be your conclusion. Again, it's kind of like you're stating the obvious, but you have to know what that symbol means. That symbol means right angle, perpendicular. That's the perpendicular symbol. So the reason would be perpendicular. It's something like perpendicular implies right angle or something like that. Again, you need to look them up. You need to look up your reasons.
Yes,
But
sir.
you have a bunch of reasons, and you really have to memorize those
Yes,
so
sir.
you can put them into practice. Let's do number 6 also. What would 6 be? Look at
Oh,
it and think it through.
so they're complementary. So that means they add together to equal 90.
Hmm.
So
So this and this
HEB
are
is a right
complementary.
angle.
Very good. That's it. Angle HED is right. Good.
Yes.
Yep. And what would the reason be again?
Um,
That would probably be, maybe this would be like the addition print property. Maybe I'm thinking because when you can add two angles together, I don't know. You have to look up what the addition property says, or
yes.
maybe you have some other reason that has something to do with complementary angles imply a right angle. Maybe you have something like
I
that.
think I
Complementary.
think it if two angles are complementary, then they are a right angle or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There might be something like that. So you just gotta kind of look that up.
Yes, sir.
So number 7, it says given 4 is supplementary to 6. So 4 is supplementary to 6. 5 is supplementary to 7, and 4 equals 5. They're telling you that 4 equals 5.
Hmm.
This is the trickiest one of all of them. Did you ask for this one or no?
In class?
No, did you need help with this one or no?
Oh, yes, sir, I did.
Okay. Yeah, this one's a tricky one. So if 4 is supplementary to 6 and 5 is supplementary to 7, then what you could say is and 4 and 5 are equal to each other, then 6 and 7. Oh, this isn't that hard because the reason I think is in your notes. 6 is congruent to 7. There's actually quite a few things you could say, but I think that's the one they probably want you to say.
Yes, sir.
6 is congruent to 7, and that's because I think you have one that says something like um, supplementary angles of congruent angles are congruent.
Okay.
That sounds familiar to you?
Yes, sir.
I think that's one of them. But again, you need to find those. And I would even like maybe go find a Quizlet or something. Look on Quizlet or on something like that and look up like geometry proof reasons of proofs or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Triangle proofs or something. Like look it up and you'll probably see a list of those things. Or maybe your teacher made one for you already. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Do you need 8 also?
Yes, sir, I'm kind of confused on that one.
Okay. Given that Z is the midpoint of WX, so Z is the midpoint of WY. What does that mean? That Z is the midpoint of WY.
WZY is our collinear.
Yeah, I mean that is true, I suppose, but that's not really the powerful thing that you'd want to say. What
Yes,
does
sir.
it mean to be a midpoint? Yeah, I mean you could say that. Technically, you're not wrong, but there's the fact that it's the midpoint. You can say something even more powerful than them being collinear. Doesn't it mean what does midpoint mean? Doesn't it mean that this is equal to this?
yeah,
Yeah.
that WZ and ZY are congruent.
WZ, you say WZ is congruent to ZY. And the reason is definition of midpoint. That's what I would say. Again, I don't know what your teacher has taught you yet, but or maybe mid. I mean, I think it's called the definition of midpoint. I think that's what you're looking for there.
Yes.
Okay. Good with those ones.
Yes.
Okay. What's this next? Well, let me clean this one up too. All right, let's see. We already did 6, 7, 8. So 9. Do we want 9 and 10 on this one?
Yes, sir.
All right. 9. For 9 and 10, fill in the missing statement or reason to complete the proof. So given that 1 is congruent to 3, can you see this okay? It's
Yes,
kind of
sir.
small, but 1 is congruent to 3. So 1, let's draw it in. 1 is congruent to 3. So I drew those in. Prove that 2 is supplementary to 3. Okay. So let's think through why 2 would be supplementary to 3. Here's 2 right there. And we want to prove that it's supplementary to 3, to angle 3. Well, what can we see right away? What is 2 supplementary to?
You can see it supplementary to 1.
Yeah, you can see it because they're on a straight line, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so all we have to do is figure out, well, how can I prove that it's also supplementary to 3? And I feel like there's a proof or there's a reason that in your list of reasons that says something like um, supplementary angles to congruent angles are supplementary or something like that. So anyway, let's give the reasons here. 1 is congruent to 3. What would the reason be for that?
Given.
Perfect. Cat is a straight angle. What's the
Assumed
reason?
from diagram.
Very good. Good job. Assumed from diagram. That's the one thing they let you, one of the only things they let you assume. 1 is supplementary to 2.
Uh, Straight lines equal or equal to, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's good. Straight line. Let's see, 1 is supplementary to 2. Let's see, why could we say that? Again, I wish we had those reasons that you have because every teacher, not every teacher, but a lot of times there's different reasons they allow you to use. But 1 is supplementary to 2. You could say, yeah, straight line. I mean, maybe you could even just do the addition property. What's the addition property say? I don't think you do.
Um,
I don't think it is the addition property. You could maybe just say, I think maybe you would just say straight angles are supplementary or something like that. Straight angles.
yes,
Um, equal 180 or something like that.
yes, sir.
Yeah, again, I wish we had your notes exactly what to say because you might just say it might really be the addition property. I'm just going to write straight angles, add to 180, and you might maybe look it up when you get to class if you have a chance to ask your teacher.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to say that. I don't know if that's exactly how it should be, but I'll put a question mark next to it so you can ask your teacher. And then 2 is supplementary to 3. And again, this is where you need your list of reasons. But I think there's something that says supplementary angles to congruent angles are supplementary or something like that.
The
Congruent angles are supplementary to the same angle or something like that. Does that sound familiar?
yes, sir.
Let's see, what would you say? 2 is supplementary to 3. So supplementary angles, supplement angle that is supplement an angle that is supplementary. See, it also could be the transitive property or the substitution property.
Yeah, I get those confused.
Yeah, those are the most confusing and when you're doing this. 2 is supplementary to 3. So 1 is supplementary to 2 is supplementary to 3. I don't think this is transitive though, because yeah. Can you look in your notes for the property?
Yes.
Geometry. I'm gonna look it up. Geometry reason. You look it up in your notes too, and we'll try to figure out why. Supplementary.
Um,
Yeah, here it is. Supplementary angles are those whose sum is 180. The theorem states that angles supplement to the same angle are congruent. Okay, that's slightly different. Um, Congruent angles have congruent supplements. Congruent supplements theorem. Yeah, there's a bunch of. Do you see this one on YouTube that I'm looking at?
I can't see it.
Yeah, I'm not sharing my screen right now, am I? I'm watching. See if I can share my screen. There's a good video. Let's see if you can hear it if I'm sharing it right now. All right, can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Congruent supplementary angles are right angles. No. Congruent supplements theorem. I think it's this one. I think is a good one. I like this YouTuber.
How to get physics homework solved.
Use Goth.
How to get chemistry homework solved.
Use
Can you
Goth.
hear it okay?
How to get biology homework solved.
Use Goth.
Why do you use it all?
Goth, AI homework helper.
Okay. That was broken. All right. That didn't work like I hoped it would. Proofs with supplementary. Here, this
The
is the one.
focus of this lesson
Can you hear it
will
okay?
be on using supplementary angles in order to write triangles proofs. Before we jump into the first example, let's talk a little bit about supplementary angles first of all. Remember, supplementary angles are two angles that add up to 180
Anyway,
degrees.
she's going to
So if
give
I
you a
think
bunch of reasons.
another way you might say
It's
this
the
is to say
congruent
congruent
supplement
angles.
theorems. There's one. You see it?
Congruent.
Congruent supplement theorem. When two angles are congruent, their supplements are congruent.
Yes, sir.
But this one, what we're trying to prove on ours was slightly different, I feel like. Because we're trying to prove, let me look for the whiteboard again. We're trying to prove that angle 2 is supplement to angle 3, supplementary to angle 3.
Yes, sir.
So I feel like there's a different one that talks about what was that one again? What did the one I just showed? So you say congruence, when two angles are congruent, their supplements are congruent. We're trying to show that when two angles are congruent, they are supplements to the same angle. So again, I don't know. I don't have the reasons that your teacher gives you.
Yes, sir.
One is supplementary to. Trying to think if we could use the substitution of transitive. One is supplementary to 2. Yeah, I think actually we can use substitution property. Because look what we can do. I think that's what they want you to use. See, if I substitute 1 there, I substitute 3 because 1 is congruent to 3, then I will have 3 is supplementary to 2. I think it would be better if we wrote it like that instead. It's written kind of different.
Yes, sir.
That's how I would write it, which is saying the same thing. But yeah, I think it is substitution, because see how you're substituting in wherever you see angle 1, you can substitute angle 3. So since 1 is supplementary to 2, we can say that 3 is also supplementary to 2, which means 2 is supplementary to 3.
Oh, yes, sir.
You got what I'm saying? That's
Yes,
why I didn't see the substitution property, but it is the substitution property that we're using. That's what we would use. Okay. That's the substitution property. Okay. You want to try number 10?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Given CAE is right. So CAE is right. So that's what they're telling us. And BA is perpendicular to AD. BA is perpendicular to AD. So that perpendicular, again, perpendicular means also a right triangle, right?
Yes.
So this is also a right triangle right here. We got 2 right triangles in there. And they want you to prove that DAE, this one right here, is equal to or congruent to CAB. All right. So they have the reasons for us, and now we just need to put the statements in. So for given, let's just go ahead and just plug all those in, right? Let's not waste our time drawing them. Number 2, it says the reason was if segments are perpendicular, they form a right angle. So what did they tell us was perpendicular? BA
and AD.
AD. So what we're going to say is we want it to be they form a right angle. So we want to say that something is a right angle, right? So that's BAD. BAD is a right angle.
Yes, sir.
You get how I'm doing that?
Yes, sir.
Because you can see that that's what they said right here, that they form a right angle. So we know that we have to state something as a right angle. Number 3 says if two angles are right, then they are congruent. So let's say that something is, which two things are we going to say are congruent?
CA, CAE and BAD.
Very good. The two angles, the two right angles, right? So BAD and CAE. Good. You understand why you come
Yes,
up with that reasoning? Good.
yes, sir.
And then finally, the proof is always just going to be whatever the final, right? That's just going to be the proof. So DAE is congruent to angle CAB. And they're saying you're subtracting the same angle, right? You're
'Cause
subtracting CAD from both of them. Whoops. Which you don't have to really say that, but that's what's happening here. You're subtracting CAD from both of them. Do you see that?
You're subtracting CAD.
Yeah, you're subtracting CAD, that angle, this one right here. You're subtracting that from two equal angles. And what are you left with? You're left with
BAE.
DAE on one side and BAC on the other side, which those must both be equal because you subtracted the same thing
Mm-hmm.
from both sides, subtract CAD from two congruent angles.
Yes, sir.
Leaves two congruent angles. That's what you're doing. You don't have to put this in, by the way, but I'm writing in for you to understand what you're doing. Okay?
Yes, sir.
You got more you need?
We
I
did
forget, is there more over here?
Yes, sir.
What was
For
this
number
one?
2 and 3.
Okay. Again, let me clean this up a little bit. Okay, and now let's make it bigger. Which numbers you say? 2 and 3?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 2 says given those are perpendicular. So AB, this isn't a proof, this is a solve one. So AB and BD, so this is a right angle. That big angle is a right angle. And BE bisects ABD. BE bisects ABD. It doesn't really look like it does, but it's telling us it does. So we're going to trust it. So if that bisects it, then that angle to that angle, right?
So they're both 45.
Very good. And that would mean they're both 45 degrees. Good job. So let's write that in. And then it says the measure of ABE is 2x plus y, 2x plus y, so that would equal 45, right? And the measure of BDE, DBE is, so that's this one, 3x. Sorry, hold on. 3x minus y minus 10 equals 45 also. So they want us to solve for x and y. This is a system of equations. Do you remember doing this in Algebra 1?
Yes, sir.
So what's the first step?
You
Move that 10 over by adding it. Good. So this whole thing is gone now. And now I can do what?
You can cancel out the y's.
Good. So add them straight down, right? So this is 5x's plus 0 y's equals 100,
Yes, sir.
which means x equals what?
20.
Good. And if x equals 20, what does y have to equal? If x equals
5.
20. Very good. Y has to equal 5. Perfect.
Okay.
Good job. Number 3. Given ER is congruent to IC, so ER. So we're going to draw these things in, okay?
Mhm.
Whenever you see something, just go ahead and draw them in so you know ER, IC are congruent. ER is 4x minus 2, and RI is 16, and IC is 2x plus 6. And they want you to find RC. So basically, we just need to find what x is, right?
Mhm.
So we know that ER and IC are equal to each other. So let's just set these two things equal to each other.
Mhm.
4x minus 2 is equal to 2x plus 6. And now we'll be able to find out what x is by solving it. So what do I do to solve it?
You can add 2 to both sides.
Oh yeah, okay, add 2. And also subtract 2x, right?
Mhm.
Got it. So what would x equal?
4.
Good. So if x is 4, what's RC? What's RC?
RC is
If x is 4, 4 times
that's
2 is
8, and then
plus 6 is 14. And so what's this whole thing?
30.
Very good. Okay, that's how you would do that one.
Okay.
Good. You got any other ones on here you need help with?
Number 1 that you have at the top.
Number 1, the measure of the supplement of an angle is equal to 20 more than 5 times the measure I. So for this one, this is one you just have to kind of practice doing these kind of problems. The measure of the supplement, so let's call that x. So actually, no, let's not do that. Let's call the angle x. Okay. So what is the measure of the supplement? That would be 180 minus x, right?
Mhm.
That's the measure of the supplement, right? And that they're saying that it's equal to, so it's equal to 20 more than 5 times the measure of the complement. So what's the measure of the complement? The measure of the complement, what's the measure of the complement of that same angle? That would be 90 minus x, right? So what's the complement of
sir.
it? 90 minus x,
Yes, sir. So,
right? So it says is equal to 20 more than 5 times. So it's equal to 20 more, so 20 plus 5 times measure of the complement, which is 90 minus x. You
yes,
get
sir.
that?
Yes.
So now let's take a look at it and see if it makes sense. This is the supplement of an angle, and this is 20 plus 5 times the complement of the angle. And we know that those two things are equal to each other. The supplement is equal to 20 plus 5 times the complement. So now I just use algebra to solve. So let's distribute the 5 in. 20 plus 450 minus 5x, x minus 180. Let's move the x's over to the left side, add 5x to both sides, you get 4x, and let's subtract 180. So it's 470 minus 180. 470 minus 180 is going to be 290, is it?
Um,
Too late. Let me just do that on my calculator.
yeah, it's two.
Okay, so 4x equals 290. And now divide by 4. So x equals 72.5. Those tricky little dogs. The angle didn't have to be a pretty angle. Could have been a fraction. So let's just check to make sure that's right. What's the complement of 72.5?
Five.
The complement is 107.5. I'm just checking my work here. And what's 20 plus 5 times the supplement? I'm sorry, I said complement, I meant supplement. What's the complement of 72.5? That
The
would be
complement.
90 minus 72.5, right? You following?
Yes, sir.
So this would be 17.5. And then
Mhm.
I'd have to multiply that by 5. And then I'd have to add 20. And I would get the measure of the supplement.
Oh, okay.
So I know I did it right.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
All right, are you feeling like feeling a little bit better about this?
Yes, sir.